Hey guys, I'm Fainer. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're doing well. Today we're going to talk about Rhye's beautiful new album, Home. So right now it is the utter depths of January, and between the lockdowns and the bitter cold weather, I think we all have a few more evenings spent staying at home than we know what to do with. And so that's actually one reason in particular that I wanted to review this album. One of the things I like about Rhye is that they are probably at the extreme end of taking their craft quite seriously. They're not solely concerned with the sound of their music, but rather they're tremendously exacting about the entire aesthetic and experience surrounding it. You know, for example, they've been known to do things like perform NPR Tiny Desk with 200 LED candles. And I'm fully aware that framing the band this way makes them seem like the world's most pretentious music snobs, or, at least Mike Milosh. But that's not really the case. The thing is that the music they're trying to make is extremely difficult to get correct. They make a delicately tuned form of soft R&B, which is meant to be sensual. And their careful finesse of both their sound and their aesthetic is what prevents that sensuality from coming off as being crude or sordid or like sleazy. Now, I know a lot of you won't be familiar with Rhye, so I'd like to take a little detour and talk about their history and also why I think it's so interesting. Okay, so back in 2012, Rhye somewhat burst onto the music scene by releasing a pair of videos for their songs Open and The Fall. And I think presenting these couple music videos as their sort of debutante offering to the world was actually a fantastic move, and it somewhat set the course for everything they've done since. Because on a certain level, it's very easy to misunderstand Rhye. No one's going to deny that they have an extremely luscious and sensual sound, but because of that, I think a lot of people sort of quickly shrug them off as just making sex music. And while sex is certainly a theme to their music, I feel slapping that label on them is both reductionist and a bit lazy. And I think the videos they released prior to their debut album really sought to subvert that label and also elucidate listeners as to what the music was really trying to accomplish. The video for The Fall and also the second music video for Open both portray relationships that are imperfect. Like the highs and lows of love are both on display. And as much as sex and romance have a role to play, so too do dissatisfaction and yearning for lost passions, and also a kind of calm introspection. And when you package all of that up with the stunning cinematography, polish, and just general mood of these little films, it becomes very apparent that Rhye is trying to deliver a beautiful and atmospheric experience, which celebrates intimacy and quiet understandings just as much as blissful, lovey limerence or lust. And while the sound is quite luscious, it never crosses that line and becomes lascivious. And if you haven't ever watched these two videos, I would strongly recommend you do so because they are two of my all-time favorites and an absolute treat. I wanted to start by discussing Rhye's previous music videos to establish that Rhye has, in the past, used music videos to set audiences' expectations for the upcoming album. And this time around is really no different. Rhye put out 4 music videos prior to the release of Home, and I think, once again, they beautifully aid the music and help audiences understand the context in which the album is meant to be enjoyed. In particular, a very salient aspect of these videos is that they all feature people dancing in an uninhibited, free-flowing, and joyful manner. And to me, this is a clear signal that Rhye not only intends for you to dance to this album, but to dance in the carefree way shown in the music videos. In essence, Rhye is teaching you how to dance to the music, And really, that's quite a common thing for music videos to do. And so I think all of this has laid the groundwork that I need to explain how I feel about this album. Rhye is not trying to craft a couple catchy radio hits. Rather, they view their album as a holistic experience, and my interpretation is that Home is meant to feel exceedingly homey. It's the soundtrack of evenings spent staying in, but also not lethargic evenings spent, watching Netflix and doom scrolling. Rather, it's a much more lively and romantic type of evening. This is a dance party in your living room with your lover and a bottle of Merlot. And to be honest, I think a lot of us could really go for a great stay-at-home date night right about now, and Rhye is here to deliver that experience as best they possibly can. So I have, thus far, tried to avoid discussing Rhye's sound as much as I can, because I think any words I come up with for it won't do a better job than simply listening to it. However, I do feel there are some things worth pointing out, which both differentiate it from Rhye's previous releases and add structure and pacing to the music so that it delivers its intended experience. Foremost is that this is Rhye's catchiest and most danceable album to date. At least in my opinion. They've brought in more funk sensibilities into their sound than ever before, and there's definitely an increased focus on maintaining catchy, jiving grooves. However, this album is actually a bit less dance-focused than I expected it would be based off the singles. This album has somewhat of an ebb and flow to it. There are a couple tracks that are extremely groovy and basically begging you to dance to them, namely Safe Word and Black Rain. However, most of the album has a lighter and slower cadence with more of a dance if you feel like it type of vibe, and I think this actually adds tremendous pacing to the album. No one's going to dance for 50 minutes straight. So I think some of the less active songs allow for great little respites to chat or grab another drink or, just admire the beautiful, lush soundscapes. The atmosphere on the album is extremely consistent. So while there are some scheduled breaks for the listener, nothing ever ruins the mood. And despite the increased emphasis on funk and groove, Rhye's fundamental formula remains unchanged. They haven't appended their sound, they've only emphasized some aspects about it. All the hallmarks that made Rhye so impressive in the first place are still here in spades, and often better than ever before. Now, I will say that this is a reversal from Spirit's meek piano ballads, but the sound is still very much in line with Blood or Woman, because those albums had some notable dance aspects to them as well. Okay, summary time here. I find the music which clicks most deeply with me is music that sounds the way my life feels. And I think that's what Home delivers. We like to talk about how terrible this year has been, and it has been pretty terrible, but, it hasn't been all bad. And I think Home really sounds the way good times feel right now. And so I suppose Rhye has stumbled upon some weird corner of the zeitgeist in that way. So I think that's all I have. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing, because this is the content I want to deliver on this channel. I'm hoping to celebrate and contextualize music that I feel passionate about so that I can help you enjoy it as much as I do. And let me know how you feel about this album or what stands out about it to you, because I love hearing other people's perspectives. That's it. I'm done. Thanks for watching.